It has been a hot freaking minute. It has been a long freaking time. It is now the new year. Happy New Year. And I thought I would talk a little bit about where I've been and what I've been doing and like what I plan to do with this channel in the new year before we get into the video. So I read in 2025, apparently I read 124 books. Now that is a tentative number and I will tell you why later. Okay. But I read 124 books and over 40,000 pages. Okay. And in this video, we will be reviewing every single book in like 5 words or less. Like it's gonna be rapid fire, just the bare minimum. Like not bare minimum, but like as specific language that I can use to just get the vibes across to you, because I can't sit here and review, like do like a 3-minute, 5-minute review of every single book, or else we'd be here fucking forever. And I actually don't have that much to say about some of them, so we're just gonna try to like rapid fire review every single book that I read in 2025, which is over 100 books. Okay. But before we get into that, I'm going to talk a little bit about me. So if you don't care about me, that's, I mean, fair enough. I guess you can skip to the part of the video where we're actually going to be talking about books. But yeah, it has been a couple months, like I said, since I've filmed anything. And mostly that was because I got fired and then I had to move. Yeah. So you're probably thinking, this is, if you've only been watching me for like the last couple months, or like you've never watched one of my videos, you might not recognize this background. The background that we are in right now, the environment that we are in, is my childhood bedroom. I moved back home in December, and it was not an easy decision to make, but it was also kind of a really easy decision to make, if that makes sense. I knew that paying rent in this economy requires a very diligent work ethic. It requires like working 40 hours a week tirelessly every single week for the rest of your life. And I'm at a point with my mental health and just like in my life where I don't really want to do things that I don't want to do. I know that sounds really entitled, but like the idea of working a job just so that I could have just enough to pay rent, like the idea of working a job so that I could barely pay rent, so that I could live in this apartment and live my life, was not appealing to me anymore. I decided that I would rather move home, not have to pay rent, not have to work, and just focus on my creative projects. So basically 2026 is the year of focusing on my creative projects. Some of that is YouTube, but a lot of that is writing. I, if you don't know, worked as a freelance writer for like the last 3.5 years, but my main goal is to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody. Anyway, sorry.
My main goal is to blow up and then act like I don't know nobody.
My main goal has always been to be an author. I was freelancing nonfiction. I was writing articles and copy, and just while that is interesting to me, my main goal, like I said, is to write fiction. And so I've decided 2026, we're going to write fiction. We're going to write as much as we can. We're going to be creative. We're going to read as many books as possible. We're going to write as much as possible. We're going to make silly videos as often as we can. And that's kind of the framework that I'm going into this year with. And that is why I wanted to like kind of put that in this video, because it's going to be my first video of the year. I don't really have like anything else besides like being creative and making stuff. Like that's kind of what makes me happy and what I want to do with my life. So if you enjoyed this video in any capacity, or you've liked any of my videos in the past, please subscribe. So with all that being said, I'm really hoping that in 2026 we can make as many YouTube videos as possible, have a regular schedule where we're doing reading vlogs and sit down videos and book recommendations and vlogging on TikTok and doing all this stuff. So I have a lot of videos planned, a lot of really fun stuff planned, but to be honest, my mental health is kind of all over the place at all times. So if I go a couple weeks without posting, don't think that I quit. It's probably just that I've been spiraling. I'm going into the year with quite an open mind and just feeling like it's gonna be like, I've seen so many memes saying like the economy is so bad that I've just decided to follow my dreams, or like something like that. And that's kind of like where I'm at. Like I don't really care about money anymore, and that, by that I don't mean like I'm financially comfortable. I literally have no money. Like I'm broke, but I live at home, and I've decided that there's no shame in that. And because I have the opportunity to live at home, I'm taking that as a blessing rather than like, oh, I'm such a loser, I live at home and I don't pay rent. I'm kind of taking it instead as like, isn't it awesome that I get to live at home comfortably so that I can work on my creative projects until I find something that sticks, you know? So here's to reading more books, writing more words, making more videos, having fun, and being creative. If you have a creative project that you've been putting to the side, or like you're a creative person in general, but like you've deprived yourself of that for whatever reason, I implore you to do the opposite and spend 2026 following your dreams. We're going to get into the video now. I thought I would give you some stats to start out, and then we'll go through every single book from January to December. All of these stats are courtesy of my storygraph. Like I said, it says I've read 124 books. The reason why I said that that is not 100% accurate is because I did indeed log a few different fanfics, because the reason why I did that is because I read a fanfic that was the equivalent of about 1,300 pages, and the idea of spending 2 straight weeks reading nothing but this fanfiction and having nothing to show for it really irritated me. So I added it to storygraph. And you may be wondering, you may be thinking, what is that fanfiction? Ethan, what were you reading? Was it really that serious? 1,300 pages? I can tell you it was that serious. And will I be sharing what that fanfiction was? By golly, no. But anyway, it says I've read 42,942 pages, and the average time to finish a book was 4 days. My main moods: number 1 was dark, which was found in 76 books. Number 2 is adventurous, found in 50 books. And number 3 was tense, in 47 books. We've also got emotional, mysterious, funny, lighthearted, hopeful, sad, and reflective. The pace of my books in 2025: 56% were medium paced, 44% were fast paced, and what is that? 1% were slow. My page numbers, see, this is where we can tell that this year I was in a bit of a life slump because I did not read nearly as much as I thought I was going to. And you're probably thinking, 124 books is not as much as you thought. Well, the truth is, majority of those books, in fact, 57 of them, were novellas under 300 pages, because that was, for many periods of time during the year, that was like the only time I had to read, was like an hour and a half, and so I would just pick a novella. 46% were under 300 pages, and it was 300 to 499 pages, and then it was over 500 pages. I'm going very fast, but anyway, my genres: number 1, romance, 76 books. Number 2, fantasy, 49 books. Number 3, horror, 25 books. Number 4, contemporary, 23 books. And number 5, erotica, 21 books. No, I'm not even going to say anything. I'm not going to, whatever. I am who I am. Top authors tied for number 1 are the Twisted Sisters, Suzanne Valenti and Caroline Peckham. These are the 2 authors of the Zodiac Academy series. Have I finished the Zodiac Academy series? No, I have not. That's for another day. Number 2 was Frida McFadden. I read 6 of her books. Then it was Ruby Dixon, who is the author of Ice Planet Barbarians. And then it was St. Abbey, who is the author of the Mindfuck series. Books throughout the year, number of books and pages. The most books that I read in a single month was in August. It was 17 books. And I will say that was majority because I did, I think, 2 separate horror reading vlogs in that month, and I read very short horror books. The least books that I read was December. I only read 4 books, and they were all within the first week of December. I've not picked up a book in a month, okay? But listen, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll keep on trucking. Most pages read, however, was in March. 5,480 pages read. The least amount of pages was in December. 889 pages. Now, the majority of the books that I read, I did not rate. I gave 61 books no rating. I gave 11 books 5 stars, which is a disastrously low number when you factor in the rereads that I did that were already a 5 star. I think it's about 8 after that, which is pretty sad. But anyway, those are some stats. Let's look at all of the books, okay? Wow, we started off the year like that? Wait, is this in order? No, these are the 5-star reads. Okay, I'm dumb. Okay, so the first 2 books that I read were 2 audiobooks. This is like a little audiobook duology that I read by Alex E. Harrow. This is A Spindle Splintered and A Mirror Mended. What can I say about these books? They were gay, they were magical, and they were funny, and that's what I needed. I listened to them while I set up my gaming desk, like my PC and everything. I bought that at the very beginning of the year. I bought a new PC, a new monitor, brand new desk, because my desk was too small for the ginormous monitor and PC that I was buying. And I listened to these while I did that, and it was very fun. Recommend. Nothing to write home about though, okay? Then we read The Throne of Broken Gods. I would step on glass and then pick up the glass that I stepped on and then eat it. Oh my god, why am I saying this? So I would do that for a chance to reread this series for the first time again. This is obviously, if you don't know, is the second book in the Gods and Monsters series. The first book is the Book of Azrael. This is book 2. Book 2 is my favorite. I have not read book 4, but remember when I said that I have lots of videos planned for this year? One of them may or may not be reading this series in a vlog, because I love these books so much and I have not read the newest book. So if you want to know more thoughts about this book, there you go. But this book, what can we say? 5 words or less, let's say. Why is this so hard? Oh my god, I died. Then I read Curse of the Wolf King. You know what? This was really sweet. This was a really sweet book. Curse of the Wolf King, really, really sweet, fluffy, standalone romantasy. It does come in a series of like companion standalones. I do want to read the rest of them eventually, because this was really cute. Kind of Holly Black-esque, but more comedic. Then I read Two Twisted Crowns. This is the sequel to One Dark Window. I was gagged. It was amazing. Loved it so much. If you have not read this duology, get out of this video right now. Go to Kindle, type it in. Go grab your Kindle, grab your Kobo, grab your iPad, grab your laptop. I don't know what you read on. Go and order this book online. Go get it from the library. Read this duology, okay? Then we have Zodiac Academy. This is when I read the first book, but because the next three are like in close proximity, I'm just going to talk about the whole series overall. Zodiac Academy. Where do I begin? She's the love of my life. I love her so much. And can I just say, before I get too deep into this extreme glazing of Zodiac Academy that I tend to do, um, can I just say, Zodiac Academy, is it well written? No, no, it's not at all. Does it have grammatical errors, structural discrepancies? Does it have so many things wrong with it that sometimes you roll your eyes not at the actual plot, but just at how ridiculous the writers must think you are for falling for this? Yes, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It's so corny. It's just dumb. It's like, why am I reading this? But with that being said, this is genuinely like one of my favorite things I read this year. It will, if you can make it through the first, I'd say, two books where you're kind of hate reading it, if you can make it through that, you will be rewarded. Your patience will be rewarded in one of the best slow burn enemies to lovers you have ever read. And I don't know why I'm saying that, because I know that this series is objectively bad. It's objectively bad. But just open your eyes. Open your eyes, okay? Open your eyes to a new world of possibilities where good writing doesn't matter and just vibes is what gives you that 5-star feeling. Just the vibes, the characters, the emotion. This series makes me feel so much. I just realized I'm supposed to be talking about these very vaguely. I'm supposed to be like 5 sentence, 5 words. I love Zodiac Academy, okay, guys? I love it so much, and I still haven't finished it. I don't know how many I have left. Let's see. So I started one of them. I think I have 2 more of the main series. I'm terrified, and I love the series so much. I should make a whole video talking about it and why I think it works, even though the writing is so bad at times, and like why it's so stupid, but like why it's so charming and stuff. I kind of want to make a video talking about that when I'm done the series and just like raving about it, singing its praises, if you will. It's a little late for me to do a reading vlog of the series because I've already read the first 7 books, but if you want me to do a video talking about Zodiac Academy, I will, because as you can tell, I can rant about it forever. Anyway, next we have A Touch of Darkness. I did read the first couple books in this series this year. I read A Touch of Darkness, A Game of Fate. So this is a series by Scarlett St. Clair, who is like one of the OGs in like spicy, dark romantasy. I only read the first 3. Damn. Okay. So I read A Touch of Darkness, A Game of Fate, and A Touch of Ruin, but the thing with this series is there's the original series, which is it's a Hades and Persephone retelling in like a modern urban fantasy world. And so there's the original series that is all from Persephone's point of view, and then she rewrote every single book with the same course of events but from Hades' point of view, so then you're supposed to read them back and forth. So A Touch of Darkness is from Persephone's, A Game of Fate is from Hades, and then A Touch of Ruin goes back to Persephone, and it goes back and forth. So I only read the first 3. There's 7 of them. There's a Christmas one? Yo. Okay, I do want to get back to the series because I really like it. It's got such good writing, the spices, but like not too much. It's just a good time. And we have the writing retreat. This was a really good one, actually. I read this as an audiobook, and it was very good. I didn't go into it knowing much about it, but it was a really like eerie, dark story, but like it's very much a character study type of thriller, and I really enjoyed it. I think if you like In a Dark Dark Wood by Ruth Ware, or just Ruth Ware in general, I think you'd really like this book. It was a good time. And I read The Fury. I also did an audiobook of this. This one was really good. I have mixed feelings about this author. I like, what is that book called? Where they're in the psych ward. The Silent Patient. The Silent Patient. The writing was so good, but it was so fucking predictable that it just kind of sucked. It says I gave it 4 stars. Okay, maybe never mind. I don't know. It was so predictable though, and it just like kind of fell flat. Anyway, but the Fury was good. It's rich people drama. It's a good time. It's very quick. I recommend the audiobook because I think honestly, actually, I feel like it'd work as a physical book just as well. I don't think it dragged at all. I think it was very consistently punchy. Like there wasn't really any like drags throughout the story. So yeah. Then we have the Mindfuck series. Oh my god, this series. This was my first dark romance. This baby's first dark romance. Okay. And so this is a series of 5 novellas that most people read as one book, but I logged them as 5 different books because, well, to be honest, mostly because I was behind on my reading goal. That early in the year, yes, I was. But we have The Risk, Sidetracked, Scarlet Angel, All the Lies, and Paint It Red. This is a series about a woman who is a serial killer, and she falls in love with an FBI agent who is trying to catch her. But she only kills bad guys. She kills rapists. She's got like crazy lore. I will say, I've read quite a bit of dark romance since this, and it's since become like a staple genre for me. this is a very, like, just her backstory and like her villain origin story is so dark that I really recommend you skip it if it sounds even remotely triggering. It was very, very heavy. I really love it. I think if you're a dark romance reader and you haven't read the series, you gotta read it. If you want to get into dark romance, I think it's a good start because it's not a dark romance in the sense that the romance dynamic is dark or taboo. It's just that the subject matter is taboo. Like, we're following a serial killer, but she's not, like, her relationship with the FBI agent isn't toxic or like taboo or uncomfortable. Like, it's a regular relationship, save for the fact that she's a serial killer. You know what I mean? So it's a good start. Then we have Onyx Storm. Onyx Storm. Why did I do that? Okay, anyway. Onyx Storm, my beloved. Love you so much. Onyx Storm left a hole in my heart. It truly did. And it gave me a reading slump that was on and off for the rest of the year, and I fear that I'm still feeling the repercussions of finishing this book. The last chapter from Zane's POV, like, let that sink in. Let that sink in. I love Fourth Wing. Like, I call me a bandwagon rider. What is that even? Am I speaking like English at all, or am I just like saying words? I love Fourth Wing. Okay, I don't care that it's too trendy. I don't care that it's too tropey. I don't care that it's annoying to hear everybody talking about Fourth Wing. That's why I don't talk about it a lot on my channel, because I know people are sick of talking about it and hearing about it. But I love it. Genuinely love it. I love it for what it is. It's camp. It's amazing. But with that being said, this book genuinely like gripped me. Like, it had me. It was so, like, I don't know, I was never bored. I cried, I laughed. It was great. It was amazing. And I read, I'm gonna breeze past a couple of these because I did read The Sweetest Oblivion and The Maddest Obsession. I did since find out that this author is a racist, so like, yeah. Sweetest Oblivion, The Maddest Obsession, don't really have much to say about them. They were my first mafia romances. I really liked The Sweetest Oblivion. I've since read better things. The Maddest Obsession, complete skip. Like, I could have gone my whole life not reading that book and I would have been fine. That's all I have to say. I also read Little Stranger. Now, yes, I did. Yeah, I read a book where they're step siblings and they fall in love and they have sex over a dead body. I did read that. Yeah, I did. I and listen, the thing you gotta understand about me is that I genuinely don't care. Like, I will read crazy taboo shit. Oh, I just clicked on it. Oops. I will read crazy taboo shit and just look at it objectively as like, is it a good story though? But I do know this book gets a lot of, understandably so, gets a lot of flack because it is, yes, like I said, they are foster siblings and he's obsessed with her. He kills their stepdad and they have sex over his dead body. I do know there's a sequel, and it is part of a larger universe of dark romance books that I have since started but never finished. This book, I wish that it was worse than it was, like in terms of prose and like the actual story and everything. I wish that it was worse than it was, but it wasn't that bad. I just kind of it. I wish that they weren't siblings, because if it was just a regular dark romance and he was like her stalker, it would have been fine. Every time I was reminded that they were siblings, they weren't blood related. This isn't a Sweet Home Alabama situation, but it's pretty close. Every time I was reminded of that fact, I was like, what am I doing in this world? Like, I started to get really existential about it. I was like, I am 20 years old. I was 20 at the time. I was like, I'm 20 years old. I'm laying in my bed. It's 2 in the morning. I'm listening to fucking random ass metalcore that I found on a weird playlist, and I'm reading this book about foster siblings falling in love. And like, I chose to do all of that. Like, that was all a choice. I can't defend myself. Like, if you want to try to defend me, go ahead, but I did just read this because I was curious. Like, I was just curious, and you know what? It wasn't that bad. Next book, whatever. Satan's Affair. This book, however, it was bad. It was, oh my god, this book sucked. I read it because I wanted to read Haunting Adeline. You see, I'm hitting every red flag book right now. I was in a dark place, okay? I wanted to read this because it is technically a prequel to Haunting Adeline. I didn't end up reading Haunting Adeline. I still haven't read it because I didn't like this at all. I don't really have much to say about it. It was just dumb and I hated it. Okay, moving on. Dawn of the Cursed Queen. This is book 3 in the Book of Azrael world. Perfection. Absolutely beautiful. No notes. Love, love, love. Okay, one of these things is out of place, and you might be wondering what it is. It's Warriors. I read the first Warrior Cats book. I bought a new copy of the first series of the Warriors books because I decided that I was going to get into the Warrior Cats universe again as an adult. I thought it would heal my inner child. I thought it would be good for me. You're probably at this point wondering like what goes on in my head, because 2 seconds ago we were talking about a book where foster siblings are getting it on, and now I'm talking about Warrior Cats. I hold multitudes. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but I hold multitudes. So I hope you can keep up and it's not like too jarring, but like, yes, I did read the first Warrior Cats book and it was awesome and I loved it and I do want to continue, but I didn't I didn't. Anyway, so I did read that. Yes. Highly recommend. I recommend if you're an adult, you were a Warrior Cats fan in your childhood, I would recommend rereading them because it was really healing. I do plan on reading all of them. Okay, then I read Fairy Tale. I loved this book. I don't think I did immediately at the time because I read this while I was recovering from my wisdom tooth surgery and I was like in complete and other I was in complete and utter misery. Yeah, I was really not doing well. I was in so much pain. I don't know what it was. I ended up having to go back to the surgeon for like a week. He said he gave me painkillers, which were like the bare minimum painkillers. And because I've had migraines all my life, the bare minimum painkillers barely did anything because I'm so immune to painkillers because I take them all the time because of my head. It hurt so bad. And then I ran out of painkillers and it still hurt like so bad and I couldn't eat. So like after a week and a half I went back to the doctor. He went into my mouth, pressed on the wound, like squeeze, like opened the wound, pressed on it. I'm sorry. We're supposed to be talking about books and I'm talking about opening a wound inside my mouth. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to keep going. And then he was like, "Yeah, you're fine. There's nothing wrong. You're just being a baby." He didn't say that, but he was like, "You got to chill out." So I went back home and I finished Fairy Tale. My storytelling skills are really, like, I got to work on this. Really enjoyed it. A little too much smut though. I think that hindered my initial rating and like made me a little bit more hesitant to say how much I liked it because I really did like it, but it took a little bit too long for me to get into it at first, and then it was a lot of smut. So I think it had some pacing issues, but I did really enjoy it and I recommend if you like dark gothic romantasy. Then I read The Ritual. Listen, this is like the smuttiest book I've ever read. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, if you thought we were already there, this book is 606 pages. There was smut about every 5 pages from the beginning to the end. I'm not even kidding. With that being said, had a good time. I love A Secret Society. I love it. It was like trying to give Dark Academia, but there was too much sex for it to like actually have like a world building moment. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. I did try to read the second book. It's fucked up in ways that I genuinely cannot even fathom. Like, it's so, like, I said I love a good taboo book. I love just objectively reading something extremely taboo and just being like, yeah, okay. Like, that's something I enjoy. With that being said, book 2 in the Lord series was a little much for me. So I took a break and I will be finishing it one day. Who knows when, but I will be finishing it, okay? Then I reread The Hunger Games. See, Whiplash. Do you have it yet? I read The Hunger Games. I did read Catching Fire as well, and I also read the majority of Mockingjay, but I didn't finish it because my plan was to reread the Hunger Games trilogy, which, if you don't know, is my favorite series of all time. So I was going to reread the trilogy, then read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, then read Sunrise on the Reaping, because this was around March. So I was waiting for Sunrise on the Reaping to come out. I ended up getting all the way till the last chunk of Mockingjay, and then I got so emotional that I could not stop crying every time I even looked at Mockingjay. And then it was my birthday, and I tried to finish Mockingjay on my birthday. But Hijack PETA is something that upsets me so, so much that I was like, I can't do this. It's my birthday. I can't fucking do this on my birthday. I can't. So I had to put it away. And I have not, that was in April. I have not finished Mockingjay. I can't. I shan't. It's too much. Do I know exactly how it ends? Yes, word for word. I cannot read it. I can't go through it. With that being said, did have a very good time rereading. I did annotate my copies and it was very, very fun and I really enjoyed it. Then I read The Book of Doors. This book is awesome. I did an audiobook of this and I listened to it over the course of like a month and a half. So I would really like to eventually reread it physically, like in a shorter period of time. But it was very enjoyable and I really liked it. I also read Exodus 23. This is like a freaky ass religious erotica, religious transcentric queer erotic. I didn't really like it that much though. It was okay. I like this author a lot. They have a couple works on Kindle Unlimited that I really enjoy, and it was okay, but it was just a little too short. I also read Astaroth, which is by the same author. I really liked the setup of this, but I needed more from it. It was lacking. This is like gay angels and demons and such, I think. Yes, it was about fallen angels and stuff. It was cool. Then I read Garen Park. I loved this book. This book was awesome. I need to pick up the pace because I fear that we're only in April and we need to get a little bit. We need to pick up the pace. But Garen Park, I have not read the sequel to this, but this is like enemies to lovers, gay enemies to lovers. They drag race, not drag race like drag race, but like drag race like drag race. You know what I mean? And they like race motorcycles and they fight and they like punch each other and then make out. It's awesome. Okay, I love it. Then I read Magnolia Parks. This was a reread, but I did end up going on to reading Daisy Hates and The Long Way Home. I really, really enjoyed these, but I since have found out about Jessa Hastings and her very long history of tweeting extremely racist things. And she also blindly defends generative AI and the use of generative AI in creative spaces. So will I be continuing Magnolia Parks? Probably not. Anyway, moving on. Then I read Insatiable and Voracious. This is the first two books in the, what is this series called? The Edge of Darkness series by Lee Rivers. This is part of the a larger dark romance universe that includes Little Stranger, which is the book about the siblings. These ones, dark romance, very, very dark romance. They're not siblings though. Don't you worry. I really like these so far, but with that being said, book 2 ended so dark, like so fucked up and dark that I genuinely had to take a breather, and I have not gotten back into them since, because it's just genuinely like darker than, think of the darkest romance book you've ever read. It's darker than that. It was really fucked up. Anyway, then I read The Grim Reaper's Lawyer. Really loved this. I also read the second book in the little duology, which is The Missing Gods Lawyer. This duology is chef's kiss. So amazing. Romantasy with a diverse cast, a really amazing, strong main character, and just funny, humorous fantasy. This is it. I also read On Wings of Blood. Hated it. Not much to say about it, just hated it. The way it was written irritated me. Like, what's the opposite of scratched and itch? Like, you know when people say, like, this scratched and itched in my brain? The opposite of that, it made me itchy. It made me itchy. The wings on Wings of Blood made me itchy. I also read City of Gods and Monsters. Way later in the year, I read the sequel, which is City of Souls and Sinners. This is one of my new favorite romantasy series. I did end up starting in December. I started book 3, which is City of Lies and Legends. I have not finished it. These books are like 800 pages each. This series, like, I'm going to be doing a video soon about my god tier books, and I'm hoping that I'll have finished this series by then, because I really just want to be able to say, like, with my full chest, like, I love this series so much. But if you like indie romantasy, if you like urban fantasy that's really romantic and fairy tale-esque, but also quite dark and gritty, and like, it's just so good, like, read it. Oh, also, I read City of Gods and Monsters. The first book is 760 pages. I read it in its entirety on the train ride to Montreal to see Pierce the Veil. It passed the time. It was a 20-hour train ride. I read the book. I still had 10 hours left of the train ride, but I didn't care because I was having such a good time. Then after that, I picked up The Lies of Lena on the same train ride, and I really enjoyed it. It was a little weird, but I do want to continue this series eventually. I just don't know when. Then I read The God of the Woods. I'm going to try to pick up speed a little bit here, guys, because we've got a lot of books left, because we're currently in June. The God of the Woods, this was a flop for me. This was a miss. It had a lot of promise, but it was boring. Like, it was a very interesting story, and it was satisfying once we got to the end, but overall, I was bored the whole time. So there you go. Then I read Lights Out. Lights Out is so good. I love Lights Out. I love dark romantic comedies. That's something I learned this year. Like, I love a dark romance, but if it's got a little bit of humor in it, it's even better. Like, that's so much better. So I loved this. I did also end up reading Caught Up, which is the sequel. I didn't like that one as much, but I did still like it, and I will be reading the next book, which I think comes out this year. Then we started my Frida McFadden kick. I read The Boyfriend, loved it. This is my favorite Frida McFadden book. Love, love, love. Yes. Tempt Me by K.A. Tucker. I don't remember a single thing about this book. It flopped. I didn't like it. Okay? The Wedding People. This book was mid. I don't love literary fiction. This was very reflective. It was a decent time. That's all I really have to say. And I read Soul Eater. Soul Eater is awesome. It's a series. This is from the Monstrous series. It's a series of like 7 or 8 books that are all queer romances between men, human men, and monsters. Very awesome. Very much love. Soul Eater is still my favorite book in the series, though, which I didn't really love it that much, so like, I don't know. Anyway, then I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden. This was okay. We're getting into some books that you might recognize from videos as well. I think we already got to that point, but this is when you're really going to start recognizing them, because this is the next handful of books are all from my first horror reading vlog, which is my most viewed video. So Test Town, love. Camp Slaughter, liked. 100% Match, loved. Scarlet, loved. No One Rides for Free, loved. Eternal Flower of Your Soul, loved. Black Cat Bones, liked. The Screaming Tree, liked. Truck Stop Diner, didn't like. The Portal in the Woods, didn't like. There we go. Those are all really short books, so I thought I would just breeze through them. Then I read The Crash, The Tenant, and Ward D by Frida McFadden. I liked The Crash. I loved The Tenant. Ward D was okay. Then we read, this is for my my monster romance reading vlog, which I will definitely be doing another one at some point because I love monster romance, okay? I read Tentacle Entanglement. This book was ridiculous. Like, I got it off of a Instagram reel promoting the book, and it was so ridiculous that I made that whole video because I wanted to read that book. It was ridiculous. It was silly. It had no plot. That's all. Okay. We're back, folks. Sorry, I had to take a brief intermission because, oops. Okay. I had to take a brief intermission because my phone was gonna die, so I had to charge it. Anyway, moving on to The Gargoyle's Captive by Katie Roberts. So I'm gonna group together all the books that were in this series that I read. So we have The Dragon's Bride, The Kraken's Sacrifice, and The Gargoyle's Captive. I also read The Succubus's Prize. I think that's the last one that I read. Yeah. The Dragon's Bride, loved. Like, don't let the cover make you uncomfortable because the book was actually so good, guys. It was actually so good. I loved this book. It was so good. And then so that's how I feel about that. The Kraken Sacrifice though, it was kind of a miss for me. Like I didn't really like either of the characters. And I'm not really one for like a romance where like they have a past lover who died and then they fall in love with someone. I don't like that. But anyway, The Gargoyle's Captive, loved that. Gargoyle's Captive and The Dragon's Bride, like I was obsessed with. Like I really loved both of those. Both characters, like all four characters, the two couples, really loved all of it. Just loved it. And then The Succubus's Prize, that was pretty mid for me. I liked it more than The Kraken Sacrifice, but then I read Eden, the second book in the Monstrous series. Is that the last one that I read in this series? Yes. I didn't really like it. It was kind of a miss for me. Actually, what am I saying? I liked it, but I was really banking on the idea of like when I read Soul Eater, I was like, okay, I bet the next book is going to be even better. And Eden, like I liked it, but I don't even think I liked it as much as I liked Soul Eater. I liked it though. I like the series overall, and I think I will continue it at some point, but it's not like I'm dying to continue it. Then I read Blasphemy. Blasphemy was one of the 5-star reads that I had. It is a godless book. It is absolutely amazing. I had to manually add it to storygraph myself. I am the only person that has reviewed it as such, but it was genuinely amazing. If you like religious horror, if you like existential stories about what the point of anything is, especially relating to religion and the darkness of religion, specifically Christianity and Catholicism. It was just amazing. Like it was so good. It had some quotes that I was like there were whole pages that I was just highlighting on my Kindle because it was just so amazing. So I really recommend that if you're a horror fan. If you like stories that talk about the dark side of religion and that kind of existential vibe, I really recommend. Oh my god. Okay. Hi guys. I've tried to film this video 4 times and every time I have a different unique technical difficulty. First it was my phone died, then it was I didn't have enough storage, my mic died. I have so many problems. I've literally filmed like the last 20 minutes of this video so many times. So if I sound like a little bit exhausted, that's why, because I've already said everything that I'm about to say. But I think we were talking about God of Malice, okay? We were talking about God of Malice, right? We're talking about the Reaniverse. I want to read all the books in the Reaniverse. I'm not sure if I'm going to do like a full designated video especially because there's almost 40 of those books now at this point. But let me know if you want like any type of documentation on my thoughts on those books because I do plan on reading all of them. I just don't know like how long it's going to take me or anything. There's like a recommended reading order. I'm not sure if it's like publishing order or not, but there's a recommended reading order. So I'm going to start from the beginning instead of just going through the Legacy of Gods like I was going to. So yeah, let me know if you want more dark romance vlogs in general. Like I just don't really know. Like I read a lot of different genres and I'm still kind of figuring out like what you guys want me what you guys like best, like in terms of like designated reading vlogs that are like themed. So yeah, anyway, I also read Unhinged. This is an erotic door romance. Yes, you heard that right. I read this because it was recommended in my comment section by one of you. So if you did that, thank you. I don't know, it was a fun time. I really don't have much to say about it. Like it's a short little novella. The door turns into a man. What do you want me to say? It was fine. Okay. Now I'm gonna rapid fire a bunch of horror books that I read. Most of them I read during a reading vlog. So Deadbolts, I liked that. We All Read Eventually, I loved that. If you want like a nostalgic 2000s like period piece on like what it takes to be famous and like it's very relevant for like influencers especially in like living in LA and like trying to make it being a starving artist but like a horror aspect, a supernatural horror aspect to it. It's really awesome. I really like that. And then Womb I just feel like did not have enough like there was so much crazy shit happening but the payoff wasn't really there. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. And then The Sleep Experiment, hated. If I could erase that book from my memory, I so would. If I could get that time back, I would so take that time back and read something else. The Sleep Experiment was so bad. Like I don't it just made me angry. It was so poorly written. It was so stereotypical, problematic even. It was just bad. Summer Never Ends, I liked that. Cursed, no. It was a miss. It was a huge miss. The Hanging Man, no. Don't care. Fire and Ice, which is the second book in The Prophecies Begin, which is the first series in the Warrior Cats universe. As I said, very fun time rereading these, not much else to say. And we have, once again, I would like to pay homage to City of Souls and Sinners. This series, I truly cannot overstate how good this series is. It is genuinely so amazing. I'm reading book 3 right now. Reading is a strong word because I barely have any time to read because all I do is sleep. It's so good. It's so beautiful and romantic and like dreamy, but also dark and just so good. So I just I cannot state that enough. It's one of my favorite series that I started in the year. I also read The Bone King and the Starling. This is a series, or this is a book that I really like. What am I saying? That's so redundant. Okay, The Bone King and the Starling. This book was really good. It was a one. I was gonna say one shot. Oh my god. I was gonna say it was a one shot. It was a standalone. It was a standalone book. It was very good. The spice spiced. It was just a good time. It was just a good time. I do want to read. Elizabeth Stevens also has a alien romance series. I really want to read that as well. And I read The Poppy War, The Dragon Republic, and The Burning God. Obviously, I read the whole Poppy War series in my Poppy War reading vlog last year. So if you want more information on those books, more insight into my mind, if you want to see me mispronounce every character's name, there's a whole video for you. There's a whole video waiting for you. I love this series so much. Like, it genuinely, it's mind-blowing. It's so like almost bittersweet. It's so sad, but it does every single topic it talks about justice, and like every single area is just so polished and perfect, not in a way that feels overproduced or anything, but in a way that just feels real and honest. And I just loved it so much. I'm so glad that I read it and filmed it. I also read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe and The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore. These are the first 2 books in the Dream Harbor series. I did start The Christmas Tree Farm, but then Christmas was over and I was like, I'm not reading this Christmas tree book. I don't care. So the jury's still out on that. But I like The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I think that one was more charming, but The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore had better characters. Then I will say I read Kiss of the Basilisk, and then a few months later when it came out, I read the sequel, Between Two Kings. And I know a lot of people, I've talked about Kiss the Basilisk a little bit in my like wrap up a couple months ago, and I talked about it a lot on my TikTok. It's genuinely mind blowing how a series can have so much sex in it, but still like feel like it has substance to me. Like, why does it have like yes, the entire plot revolves around the romance and the spice specifically, but not in a way that feels gross or uncomfortable. It genuinely is just fun. It's just a ride. And I know a lot of people don't like Tem, the main character. I love her so much. I think she's so refreshing in a world where like every romantasy girl is the same like docile little like, I'm not gonna wear this fancy dress to go see the Fae King because I like my rags, and I'm not gonna eat the stale bread because it's not stale enough. But Tem is just refreshing and I like her. And as for Between Two Kings, I know a lot of people didn't like the ending. As a Caspin ride or die supporter, I think the ending was perfect. Obviously, there's still one more book and then there's going to be a prequel, but I think I'm going to try to be very vague, but the thing that happened at the end of that book that was like the major plot twist, there's so many ways that that specific choice could have gone wrong, but I think that the author, like, she did it in one of the it was a very rare occurrence of someone doing that trope or that choice in a book and it going well for me. I think it went really well, and I think it made sense. I think it was heartbreaking and it was beautiful and I loved it. And I love Caspin. Okay, I still love Caspin. Okay. Then let's talk about The Ice Planet Barbarians. I read the first book in this series 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, but I was working through the series and the novella companions throughout the latter half of the year. So I read Barbarian Alien, which is book 2 in the series, and then I read Ice Planet Honeymoon with Vectel and Georgie, which is like a novella sequel to the first book. And then a little bit later, I read The Ice Planet Honeymoon for book 2, and then I read Barbarian Lover, and then I read The Ice Planet Honeymoon for that book. So I really love these. I think if you're a certified freak, if you're a weirdo, if you like weird smut, or just smut in general, they're great. They're great fun. They're so fun. They're silly. And honestly, the sci-fi elements, like the actual world that we're in, and like the creatures that we encounter and like all that kind of stuff, I really enjoy as well. Like, it's not just the romance and the spice, like it's genuinely just a fun time. It's like a lighthearted sci-fi, just silly little time, okay? Then I read Butcher and Blackbird. I also ended up reading Leather and Lark, and Scythe and Sparrow. Butcher and Blackbird, I will say, is probably my favorite in the series, but a close second is Scythe and Sparrow. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I know a lot of people like Leather and Lark the best. I love this whole series so much, though. Like I said, I love a dark romantic comedy. Like, I love a romance where, like, they're murderers, they're crazy, they're insane, it's toxic, but it's funny and it's silly. I just like a rom-com where like fucked up shit is happening. I love that. And Butcher and Blackbird literally gave me everything. The audiobooks for these, like, if you want to read these books, brother, you need to read the audiobooks. You need to get on the audiobook. You need to get on your Zoom and you need to download the audiobook. Spotify, Audible, whatever the fuck, I don't care. Go get it at the library. I don't know. Get Butcher and Blackbird and the rest of them. Read them on audio because they're so good. They have like sound effects and stuff, and like oh my god, it's just so good. I listened to Scythe and Sparrow specifically when I was moving out. I was packing while listening to it, and there were so many moments where I literally had to stop. I would be like putting tape over a box, and then they would say something, and I would be like I would be freaking the fuck out. It was genuinely such a ride. Leather and Lark is my least favorite, but it's still like a high 4-star book. I love these so much. Like, they're just such good. They're just so good. If you like dark romances, but you also love a good rom-com, this is perfect. If you like Lights Out, perfect. Like, just read it. It's awesome. I read another Frida McFadden book that I honestly don't really care to say anything about because it was just such a nothing burger, and that's The Intruder by Frida McFadden. This is her new release, I think. Don't care about it. Don't care about it. I really don't. It was a nothing burger, okay? Then I read The X Hex and The Kiss Curse. I have yet to read the third book, which is like a little sequel Christmas novella, but The X Hex and The Kiss Curse, they were both like, oh my gosh, so perfect. I don't remember if I rated them 5 stars at the time, but they are a 5 star. This world, these characters, the humor, the magic, the romance, everything about this, reading it during the fall time was literally perfect. They were such a comfort read. Like, I was going through a lot. Like, this was around the time that I got fired and was like having my whole life fall apart that I read these. And I read them on my Kobo and I had my little pen and I just annotated them. And it was so relaxing and so nice. And these were just like such a peaceful part of like a very chaotic era of my life. So I really love them and I highly recommend for next fall time. I do recommend you wait until the fall because they're so perfect for that. I'm gonna do a rapid fire yes, no, maybe, I guess, of all the books that I read in my most recent horror vlog for Halloween, because that video is one of my most viewed videos in recent times. So I feel like I've probably talked your ear off about these books, but we've got Love You to Bits. Loved this. This was so disturbing. I don't know what it says about me that I love this book, but I loved it. The Considerate Cannibal, I liked it. Didn't love it. It was kind of poorly written prose, but the story itself was interesting. Burn for Jack, loved it. Listen, Pumpkin King, nodding. What's happening? I don't know. I was having a good time. Pink the Sink, hated. So bad. Sewer Rat, it was okay. How Am I Not the Monster? That was pretty cute. And then I read, I'll go into a little bit more detail about the longer form books that I read during that readathon. I read Hexappeal. Hexappeal is so good. Like, this is a trilogy. I have the rest of the books on my Kobo, but I haven't read them. But this book was just so cute. It was so like, you know when you read a rom-com and it like actually accurately captures like how awkward the two people are, and like they like once they realize they're attracted to each other, they're just like so awkward around each other, and like they're like stumbling over their words and they're being weird and their first kiss is awkward, and like it just had this like beautiful like first love aspect to it, even though it was neither of the characters' first love, like technically speaking, but it was so beautiful and it was just very whimsical and silly. It was very like, I love magic systems that are very like nonsensical, like Alice in Wonderland type, like this is that because it is, but it's also not because it isn't, like things like that. Like when they talk like that and like the magic is kind of working on like broken logic. I love that, and this had a lot of that. And I read Anathema, this book. Anathema. Moment of silence for her. She gagged me. I love this book. I loved this book. I loved every second of it. It's so dark and gothic and eerie, and the pacing is slow, but in a way that felt so consistently rewarding. And it was just so beautiful. The romance, it wasn't a slow burn in the sense that this is a trilogy and they get together in the first book. For a 700-page book, I feel like the romance was paced pretty well. Danger, like there was really like the stakes were high and you really felt them. You would have but in between that you would have such beautiful like peaceful moments with these characters, and just I felt so connected to this world, and it felt like an echo of something I would write, and I think that's why I loved it so much. I still haven't read book 2 Eldritch, and then the third one I think comes out later this year, but I like this is a contender for like a favorite new adult romantasy series, like indie romantasy series. It's so amazing. I highly, highly, highly recommend if you like anything gothic, if you like dark romantasies, if you like long romantasy books. It was so eerie and creepy and beautiful. I loved it. Then I read, oh my god, I forgot how much I love these books. Oh my god. I read The Wolf King and The Night Prince. I read these as audiobooks. I honestly think that when book 3 comes out, which I think, hold on, let's have a little look. When does book 3 come out? Supposedly it's coming out this year, but it doesn't have a title and it doesn't have a date. So we don't know. But when it does come out, I think, like I said, I read them on audio, and the audiobook's amazing. My only complaint is that, what's his name? The other guy, not Cal, Blake. In the first book, Blake doesn't have his own narrator, so the female narrator that does Aurora is just doing Blake's voice, and I really didn't like that. But they changed that in The Night Prince. He gets a voice actor. This series, oh my god, so compelling, so gorgeous. Like, if you want a step by step, play by play on how to do a love triangle right, read this series and you will know. Take notes, read the series, take notes, and you'll know. You'll get it. It's so good. Like, because the way that, like, I go back and forth on, like, how I feel about each individual character, and, like, even when I'm fully team Callum or I'm fully team Blake, I don't hate Callum and I don't hate Blake. Like, it doesn't pin them against each other. It just makes it into this impossible situation that feels so much more realistic. This series is so compelling. If you like werewolves, if you like Omegaverse, if you like any of that type thing, it's so good. The spice is good, but there's so much plot that is just so compelling and interesting, and I feel like it's really being fleshed out at a good rate. And I'm really excited for the conclusion. I think I'm gonna reread the first two physically when the third one comes out. Let me know if you want to see that. I don't know. But yeah, loved it. We're getting close to the end, guys. I read a Superman comic. I read the first title series, main series Superman comic. One thing about me is that the James Gunn Superman that came out this year, obsessed with it. I've watched it, I think, 16 times, and yeah, I love it so much. I love Superman. I've loved Superman ever since I was a kid, but this movie really like reignited my love for Superman, and I decided to get a membership to the DC Comics's like online library, and I got a handful of like the very very first like 1930s Superman comics. I do think that I'm going to get into comic reading in 2026. I also want to get back into reading manga. I used to read manga all the time. I was a big anime fan, so I used to read a lot of manga. I really want to get into comics and manga this year. I was thinking about maybe even like dedicating a reading vlog to just reading comics and manga, but I don't really know if I have the motivation quite yet. But I do want to get on that. There's quite a few manga series that I really want to read, and I love the MCU and I love James Gunn is doing with DC, so I really want to read a lot more superhero comics. So that was really fun. Highly recommend. It was very sweet. Then we've got Alchemized. That was my most recent video. It was me reading Alchemized. It's a full spoiler vlog, so before you go there, just know it's a full spoiler vlog. This was my favorite book of the year. Favorite book of the year. This book, like, I don't even care that it was once a Harry Potter fanfiction. I do not care. It was perfection. It was gut wrenching, agonizing, terrifying, and beautiful and heartbreaking, and just everything I want in a book. It was everything to me. It was so, so important. Like, that story consumed my life from the moment I started it to the second it was over, and then days afterwards. I still think about it every day. I have it on display on my bookshelf. If you still don't want to read it, you still haven't read it, you're a little curious about it, please take the leap. Please take the leap and read it. It's so amazing. Like, I cannot overstate how much I love it. It is exactly what I look for in a fantasy. Just so gothic and dark and disgusting and disturbing and heart-wrenching and just everything. It was everything. We have two more books. Are you guys ready? The last two books are quite random. They're two books that I read as audiobooks while packing and unpacking to move back home. I read The Beast. This was like an hour and a half long on 2 times speed. It was just smut. It was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It was pretty gross, to be honest. Like, I love a monster romance, but this was pretty gross. I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. It's still like, I mean, I read it and it was fine, but yeah. The last book I read in the year was the last audiobook that I listened to when I finished packing, and that was Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. This series, I'm so excited to continue this audiobook series. This book was really amazing. It's basically a dark romance with demons and devils and like hell and stuff. It's so good. Like, do I think the spice could have been spaced out a little bit? Like, I don't even want to say that there was too much spice because like I enjoyed it, let's be real. There was a lot of it in like the first, like the middle of the first act, and then there was like almost none towards the end, and I feel like it was just kind of bunched together weirdly. I feel like the pacing of this book was kind of a little strange, especially in terms of the romance and the spice and like the emotional buildup of like them falling in love. It was a little strange, but I genuinely really loved this book, and I'm so excited. I have the second book downloaded on my Kobo app, and I'm going to listen to it very, very soon. So that is the last book that I read in 2025. Parting words. Thank you for watching this whole long ass video. I have a busy schedule for 2026. I'm currently unemployed, but I'm basically dedicating all of my time to my writing projects and social media and stuff. So basically my life hopefully in 2026 is going to be a lot of reading and a lot of writing books and having fun with writing fiction more so than ever in my life. And I will be talking about that a little bit more hopefully, my writing projects. Just it's I'm not quite ready to share it with the world yet, but I have quite a few projects going on that I'm working on. But as for YouTube content, I plan on being as active as possible this year. I'm not able to be employed anytime soon, so I'm just going to be full throttle on the creative projects. And I have so many great reading vlogs planned. I have a few sit down videos for the first month or two of the year where I'm going to talk about like my goals for the year, some books that I want to read this year, the beginning of the year book tag, a few things like that. Just some bookkeeping so that you guys can like get to know how my year in reading went and like my plans for the new year. But I do have majority of the videos that I have planned are reading vlogs, specifically of dedicated series or genres, but mainly like certain series. So I have a lot planned. I have really big plans for YouTube this year, and I really, really hope that I'm able to execute them at least decently. So I hope that if you've ever enjoyed any of my videos, you stick around. I will be back very, very soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a friend. I'll see you in the next one very, very soon. Hopefully sooner rather than later.